Trump orders 100% tariff on foreign-made films. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. This is World Today. I'm Mohana Priya. Yemen's Houthis have pledged to carry out fresh missile strikes on Israel's airports. The group struck an airport yesterday, wounding 6 people, with the attack coming just hours after the Zionist army confirmed the call-up of tens of thousands of reservists to expand the 19-month war in Gaza. Israel's military confirmed that the attack, which gouged a large crater in the perimeter of Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport, was launched from Yemen and had struck despite several attempts to intercept the missile. The missile hit near the parking lots of Terminal 3, the airport's largest. The attack briefly halted air traffic and several international airlines suspended flights to Israel. A police video showed officers standing on the edge of a deep hole in the ground with a control tower visible behind them. No damage was reported to airport infrastructure. Israel's emergency service said it had treated at least 6 people with light to moderate injuries. Malta has offered to repair an aid ship and sent it on its way to Gaza after pro-Palestinian activists said the vessel had been hit by a drone strike. However, Prime Minister Robert Abela said that the Freedom Flotilla Coalition must first allow a maritime surveyor on board to inspect the vessel and determine what repairs are needed. The pro-Palestinian activists had pointed the finger at Israel, which has blockaded the Gaza Strip throughout its military campaign against Hamas for the attack. The ship will be towed under Maltese control to the Mediterranean island for repairs, paid for by Malta if it cannot be fixed at sea. Abela said the boat must first come into Maltese waters and the surveyor is allowed on board. Members of the coalition who had been due to board the vessel in Malta, including Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, said they had agreed to allow the inspection. According to the Flotilla Coalition, the ship was attacked in international waters as it headed for Malta on Friday, causing a fire that disabled the vessel and minor injuries to crew members. Israel is known for conducting covert operations beyond its borders, including several during the Gaza war that it only acknowledged later. Iran has unveiled a new solid-fuel ballistic missile with a range of 1,200 kilometers at a time of rising tensions with the West. Local media said that the solid propellant Qasim Basir ballistic missile is Iran's latest defense achievement. Western nations have raised concerns about Tehran's missile capabilities, accusing it of destabilizing West Asia. Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh noted that if Iran is attacked and war is waged against the country, Iran will respond with force and will target their interests and their bases. The new missile was shown after Tehran and Washington held Oman-mediated talks on Iran's nuclear program on 3 consecutive Saturdays from 12th of April. They were the highest-level contacts since the U.S. withdrew in 2018 from a landmark agreement with world powers on Iran's nuclear program. Tehran denies seeking to acquire nuclear weapons, insisting that its nuclear ambitions are entirely peaceful and for civilian purposes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said a ceasefire with Russia in its more than 3-year-old war is possible at any moment and called on Kiev's allies to apply greater pressure on Moscow to put the measure in place. Zelensky said unless increased pressure were applied, Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin would take no real steps to end the conflict.
Ми вважаємо, що припинення вогню можливе абсолютно будь-який момент, хоч від сьогодні, і має тривати щонайменше 30 днів, щоб дати реальний шанс дипломатії. І я вдячний Чехії за підтримку всіх пропозицій нашої позиції.
Putin last week declared a 3-day ceasefire from 8th to 10th May to mark the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet Union and its allies over Nazi Germany in World War II. Zelensky said such a measure is pointless and has called instead for an unconditional ceasefire over at least 30 days in line with a U.S. proposal launched in March. Elsewhere, Sudanese paramilitaries struck Port Sudan in the first attack on the seat of the army-aligned government during the country's 2-year war. The Rapid Support Forces battling the regular army since April 2023 have increasingly used drones since losing territory, including much of Khartoum, in March. Army spokesman Nabil Abdallah said the Rapid Support Forces targeted Osman Digna Air Base, a goods warehouse, and some civilian facilities in the city of Port Sudan with suicide drones. He reported no casualties and limited damage. Red Sea Military Region Commander Mahjoub Bushra reported that the assault lasted 3.5 hours and involved 11 drones. In the conflict's early days, the government relocated from Khartoum to Port Sudan, which until yesterday had been spared the violence. For 10 nights straight, gunfire between Indian and Pakistani soldiers has echoed from the mountains and deep valleys that form the heavily defended de facto border between the nuclear-armed rivals. Relations between the neighbors have plummeted after India accused Pakistan of backing the worst attack on civilians in Indian-administered Kashmir in years, in which a gang of gunmen shot dead 26 men, mostly Hindus. India's army said that its troops had exchanged gunfire with Pakistani soldiers overnight across the line of control in multiple sites, which it says has taken place every night since 24th April. In the villages of Churunda and Pilawari, fearful residents said officials had visited, telling them to check the condition of a few government-constructed community bunkers. AFP reporters saw a community bunker in the village with thick concrete walls and a slab on top, but the floor was covered in runny mud.
ऐसी जाए मतलब क्या ये 72 बजते पनेंटे मिश पने 5 बज बेच 72 सेंटे ऐसी कमरस में बयान दे के क्या करो नश बाथरूम नश का बेगर का सिस्टम नश के
जी जिनके पास तो घर बना हुआ है दूर दूर कहीं पे लिया है जैसे श्रीनगर में बारामूला में उसकी वजह से वो गए हैं तो हम लोग कहाँ जाएंगे हम लोग
Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has postponed his official visit to Malaysia, originally scheduled for this Friday, in light of recent tensions following the attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. Shehbaz informed the decision to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim during a phone call yesterday. In a Facebook post, Datuk Seri Anwar said he had expressed full understanding of the difficult circumstances Pakistan is facing and conveyed Malaysia's hope that the situation will de-escalate swiftly. He also strongly condemned any form of violence and affirmed Malaysia's support for an independent and transparent investigation to identify those responsible. Malaysia, according to the Prime Minister, remains open to playing a constructive role should the need arise. During the phone conversation, Prime Minister Shehbaz also reiterated his appreciation for Malaysia's long-standing friendship and expressed his hope to expedite the signing of a memorandum of understanding currently under negotiation. Datuk Seri Anwar said he reaffirmed Malaysia's commitment to facilitating the process. Still ahead, 13 kidnapped workers found dead in Peruvian mine. President Donald Trump is ordering new tariffs on all films made outside the United States, claiming Hollywood was being devastated by a trend of U.S. filmmakers and studios working abroad. He claimed that the issue amounted to a national security threat. The announcement comes as the White House is coming under mounting criticism over its aggressive trade policies that have seen Trump impose sweeping tariffs on countries around the globe. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform that he is authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into the country that are produced in foreign lands. He said the movie industry in America is dying a very fast death, noting that other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw American filmmakers and studios away from the United States. The implications for the movie industry, or how exactly the tariffs would be enacted, were not immediately clear. Trump's decision comes after China, which has taken the brunt of the U.S. president's combative trade policies with 145% tariffs on many goods, said last month that it would be reducing the number of imported U.S. films. And on another matter, Trump has directed officials to rebuild and reopen the Alcatraz prison, the notorious federal jail based on a small island in California that was shuttered 6 decades ago. Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform that the jail will house America's most ruthless and violent offenders, adding that the institution will be substantially enlarged. Alcatraz closed in 1963 due to high operating costs after being open for just 29 years and now serves as a tourist attraction. Located 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco and with a capacity of just 336 prisoners, it held several well-known criminals, including Prohibition-era mob boss Al Capone, and saw many fantastical escape attempts by inmates. Trump has made cracking down on crimes, particularly those committed by migrants, a key element of his second term in the White House. Lebanon began the first stage of long-delayed municipal elections, the first vote since a devastating war between Israel and Hezbollah, and after a new national government was formed. Polls opened at 7 a.m. local time for voters in the Mount Lebanon district, a heavily populated area with mixed political and religious affiliations that includes Beirut's southern suburbs. According to the Interior Ministry, 9,321 candidates, including 1,179 women, are running in the Mount Lebanon district. Lebanon is supposed to hold municipal elections every 6 years, but cash-strapped authorities last held a local ballot in 2016. President Joseph Aoun emphasized the vote's importance to give confidence to the people and internationally that Lebanon is rebuilding its institutions and is back on the right track. Aoun was elected in January and Prime Minister Nawaz Salam formed a government in the following month, ending a more than 2-year vacuum as Lebanon's balance of power shifted following the Israel-Hezbollah war. Areas of northern Lebanon will vote on the 11th of May, with Beirut and the country's eastern Bekaa Valley area set to go to the polls on 18th May, while voters in the heavily damaged south will cast ballots on 24th May. At least 13 people were found dead inside a mine in Peru after being kidnapped days earlier in the northern area of Pataz. Pataz, located around 900 kilometers from the capital Lima, is in a state of emergency due to escalating violence caused by a gold rush in the area. The victims found yesterday worked for a company that provided services to Poderosa, a major gold mining firm listed on the Lima Stock Exchange. The firm has in recent months being targeted by armed groups linked to illegal mining. Peru's Interior Ministry said it had deployed organized crime investigators to probe the deaths. In the city of Trujillo, west of Patas, some of the victims' relatives waited for the remains of their loved ones to be transferred to the morgue there. Peru is experiencing a wave of extortion and violent crime that has led to authorities to declare a state of emergency in several parts of the country. Brazilian police said they had arrested 2 people in connection with a foiled plot to attack Lady Gaga's packed mega concert in Rio de Janeiro. Together with the Ministry of Justice, it had prevented a bomb attack that would have occurred at Lady Gaga's concert in Copacabana on Saturday night. Officials said the superstar's huge free gig on the beach, her first concert in Brazil since 2012, drew up to 2 million people. Rio police said it had arrested an adult who was responsible for the plot, as well as a teenager in the operation codenamed Fake Monster. It said those involved had recruited people online to carry out attacks using improvised explosives and Molotov cocktails as a collective challenge with the aim of gaining notoriety on social media. The police added that the group behind the plot spread hate speech, radicalized youths, and used self-harm on digital platforms as mechanisms to develop social belonging. Police carried out raids across Rio de Janeiro state, as well as in the states of Sao Paulo, Rio Grande do Sul, and Mato Grosso. Lady Gaga's concert was the 2nd million-strong show on Copacabana Beach in a year, after a huge concert last year by Madonna. At least 2 people, including a young girl, were killed and several others injured after a car crashed into the entrance of Manila's Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The airport said the vehicular accident occurred when the car crashed through the outer railing and into the walkway near the entrance of the airport's Terminal 1. The Philippine Red Cross, which responded to the scene, said the incident resulted in the deaths of 2 individuals, a male adult and a young girl. Ninoy Aquino International Airport said those who sustained injuries were being treated and the driver of the vehicle is in police custody. Jordanian authorities have evacuated nearly 1,800 tourists from the ancient city of Petra after the area was hit by flooding. Jordan's Meteorological Authority published a video showing flash floods hitting the ancient city. It showed tourists gathering at the entrance of the treasury, one of the site's most iconic tombs, before being evacuated. Similar evacuations have occurred in the past as the area witnesses increasing rains and storms. Petra, famous for its stunning temples hewn from rose-pink cliff faces, is a United Nations World Heritage Site. It was chosen as one of the new 7 Wonders of the World in a 2007 online poll. In central Saudi Arabia, a massive dust storm hit Al Qasim province, shrouding vast swathes of its governorates and largely reducing visibility there. Accompanied by strong winds, the storm that struck Saturday afternoon engulfed the region into quasi-darkness and toppled trees. Earlier, the Saudi National Center for Meteorology had cautioned that parts of Al Qasim would be affected by active winds that could lead to near-zero visibility and advised people to monitor weather alerts and heed safety guidelines. Next up in sports, Bayern claimed Bundesliga title after Leverkusen draw. Bayern Munich were crowned German champions for the 34th time, giving striker Harry Kane his first major trophy after second-placed Bayer Leverkusen drew 2-2 at Freiburg. Bayern's 3-3 draw at RB Leipzig on Saturday meant defending Bundesliga champions Leverkusen needed to win at Freiburg to delay the title party. Leverkusen were 2 goals down before scoring twice in the last 10 minutes. But Xavi Alonso's side could not find a third as Bayern reclaimed the title at the first attempt after Leverkusen ended their 11-year reign last season. The result left Leverkusen, who became the first team in history to win the title unbeaten last season, 8 points behind Bayern with 2 games remaining. Given Bayern's far superior goal difference, Leverkusen's chances of defending their title were already all but impossible. Kane, who had never previously won a silverware, was among a group of Bayern players who gathered to watch the Leverkusen game in Munich. The England captain was suspended for the match at Leipzig, but will return this Saturday against Borussia Mönchengladbach at home, where Bayern will be presented with the Bundesliga shield at full time. Meanwhile, in the English Premier League, Chelsea moved a step closer to Champions League qualification by beating under-strength champions Liverpool 3-1 with a first-half strike from Enzo Fernandez, an own goal by Gerald Konsa and a Cole Palmer penalty. Liverpool came to London fresh from securing the title against Tottenham Hotspur last weekend, but there was a D-Mob happy air about them, and despite a party atmosphere among the travelling support, they lacked their usual cutting edge. Arne Slot made 6 changes to the starting lineup that faced Spurs. Now, the game was only 2 minutes old when Palmer found Pedro Neto, whose cut-back cross fell to the unmarked Fernandes, and the Argentine whipped the ball low into the net. The lively Palmer was also instrumental in the second goal after he kicked the ball into the area, and Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk's attempted clearance bounced off teammate Konsa and into the goal. Palmer scored from the spot after Konsa brought down Moises Caicedo 6 minutes into added time. Now, the result kept Chelsea 5th in the table, separated from 4th place Newcastle United only by goals scored. The top 5 in the Premier League qualify for the Champions League, and Chelsea face Newcastle away next weekend. And moving on to the La Liga, Kylian Mbappe scored 2 goals as Real Madrid fought off a late comeback attempt from Celta Vigo to secure a 3-2 win and stay within 4 points of leaders Barcelona, whom they visit in next weekend's El Clasico. Arda Güler broke the deadlock for Real shortly after the half-hour mark as the 20-year-old Turkish took a short corner for a 1-2 with Lucas Vazquez before dispatching an excellent left-footed shot from a tight angle through a gap between defenders. Mbappe doubled Real's lead 6 minutes later as Jude Bellingham's lobbed ball unleashed the Frenchman down the opposition half for a right-footed finish. Güler's through ball then set up Mbappe's second goal 3 minutes after the break. Celta Vigo made a late charge as Xavi Rodriguez scored for the visitors in the 69th minute, and Williat Swedberg also struck 7 minutes later. But Real were able to see off the late pressure to ensure a win. Defending champions Real's 4th win in a row kept their title dream alive with 4 matches to go in the Spanish top flight, while Celta Vigo remained 7th after their 3rd loss in 4 league games. And moving on to tennis, Casper Ruud beat Jack Draper 7-6, 3-6, 6-4 to clinch a Madrid Open victory and the first Masters 1000 triumph of his career. The Norwegian got the better of his British opponent in a 2.5-hour tussle at the Manolo Santana Stadium. Rising star Draper was hoping to add to his Indian Wells title in March, but Ruud outlasted him in his 3rd Masters final. The 26-year-old Ruud blinked first with back-to-back double faults to give Draper a break for 2-1 in the first set. However, in a 7th game hold, the Norwegian upped his power and showed his quality, hinting at the fight back which was to follow. Serving for the set, Draper was unable to polish off his opponent, who broke to tie the set at 5-all. Ruud held and then broke to claim the first set as Draper mishit a forehand. Draper, however, produced his best tennis in a brilliant second set, in which he made just one unforced error and let his rasping forehand shine. Draper broke in the 7th game for a 4-3 lead, saved 2 break points in the 8th, and then broke again to claim the second set with his 3rd set point. Although Draper was more composed at the start of the 3rd set, it was Ruud who seized the initiative, breaking the Briton to take a 3-2 lead and securing the title with a hole to love.
And moving on to badminton, China beat South Korea 3-1 in the Sudirman Cup final to secure a record-extending 14th title at the biennial mixed team competition in the Chinese city of Xiamen.
Having won the last 3 Sudirman Cup editions, China were favourites against 4-time winners South Korea and got off to a winning start from world number 2 mixed doubles pair Feng Yan Ji and Huang Dongping. However, that lead did not last long as women's top-ranked player and current Olympic champion An Si-young levelled the tie by defeating world number 2 Wang Ji-yi. Roared on by the home crowd as they played their 16th straight Sudirman Cup final, China went up 2-1 up after men's world number 1 Shi Yu-chi crushed 42nd ranked Jeon Hyuk-jin in just 33 minutes. All the pressure was on world number 3 women's doubles pair Baek Ha-na and Lee So-hee to keep the tie alive for the South Koreans, who last won the competition in 2017. But top-ranked women's double duo Liu Xing-shu and Tan Ning had other plans, sealing the final 3-1 with a 21-14, 21-17 victory, throwing their rackets to the ground in celebration in front of the home support at the Finghuang Gymnasium.
Oscar Piastri won the Miami Grand Prix in an utterly dominant McLaren 1-2 to complete a hat-trick and stretch his Formula One championship lead over teammate Lando Norris to 16 points after 6 rounds.
The start provided an immediate talking point, with Norris challenging Max Verstappen for the lead, but then having to go off after making contact at the turn 2 and losing 3 places, with Kimi Antonelli second and Piastri third. Piastri passed Antonelli on lap 4 after a brief virtual safety car period, triggered by Jack Doohan stopping his Alpine at turn 14 after a collision at the start with Racing Bull's Liam Lawson. Norris was back in 3rd place by lap 9 after passing both Mercedes drivers, while Piastri was on Verstappen's tail and passed the Dutch driver who drifted wide on lap 14 after several thwarted attempts. Verstappen held off Norris until lap 17 when both went off the track, but the McLaren driver handed back the position without the stewards needing to intervene. Norris made the move stick soon, but Piastri was already 8 seconds down the road. The win from 4th on the grid was Piastri's 3rd in a row after Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and 4th of the season. George Russell finished 3rd for Mercedes, while Red Bull's world champion Verstappen was 4th.
And that's it for World Today. In our top story, Houthis pledge fresh strikes on Israel airports. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Salora and Berita RTM. Now we leave you with an amazing footage of a parade of floats carrying sculptures of sea creatures made of balloons, filling the streets of Guadalajara in western Mexico. I'm Mohana Priya. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for your company.